Hey everybody, it's Lynn at A Bit of Birdsong. I wanted to drop in for a little bit and show you where I am with Serendipity. This is the journal that I made in response to April's challenge. She is the owner of Pink Oddbird and she challenged us all to make a true junk journal, getting back to what is, I guess, the roots of junk journaling, and that is using junk mail, recyclables, trash, things like that. I wanted to just show you where I am. I added the green paint. I think we talked about that. I talked about wanting to have a different closure, and I did end up doing something different. This is it's not really cloth. It looks like cloth, but it's more of a sort of a paper cloth. Maybe you know what I mean. It's not really paper. I don't know how to describe it. It feels like it's got fibers in it that sturdy it up, but it doesn't really feel like fabric. For now, I took that was in the trash. It's definitely an advertising sort of thing. It's not. You can see the stitching down the side. There was a company name on the back, and it could have been a hat maker's measuring tape because it had something about that on the back. So I have sewn that. I attached it here, and I attached it on the back under this. And for now, I just sewed this little safety pin onto it to be able to attach it by putting it through this loop at the end of the tape measure. I don't think I've added anything else to the outside except the word Serendipity. And you can see where that faded a little bit. That's fine with me. I used this piece of tablecloth that was in the trash. I had put it in a Ziploc bag not long ago with a piece of rusty metal. So it's got the rust stains, and I stamped the word Serendipity with that rich razzleberry ink from Stampin' Up. Let me close this safety pin so I don't get stuck. I'm probably going to glue a few more pieces of trash in here or recyclables, whatever, while we visit for a minute. You can see where I painted the inside cover with this Ranger Distress paint. This is tarnished brass. I love these. I'm so glad I gave these a try. I have definitely used these. I think you would like them. I have these pretty pieces of tissue paper that someone had used to try to make paper flowers. You know, I mentioned finding these in the trash. I don't know if they just abandoned the project or what. A lot of them were like this. So I'm just pulling that wire out and using pieces of the paper. Let's just flip through here. You've seen the staining on the pages. I used a discarded stencil to do that and some spray. It was Distress ink that was watered down and put in that little spray bottle. There is an old receipt. Oh, I have this, just this scrap of velvet. So beautiful. Look at the color of blue in that. And you can see that edge there, the selvage edge. I used some of that. Oh, and on this, I went through and just used some watercolor pencils I dipped them in the water, and they're wonderful when you do that. It's like a watercolor paintbrush, so you can see how that does its thing. But I just sort of haphazardly went through and numbered every spread just for design. That's all that's really for. It's not a proper numbering of the pages. And more of that velvet. This is from a doily that was basically dry rotting. The lace was coming apart from the cotton on the inside, which was so old and thin it was falling apart. And those were recycled. These are some old stained file markers. Now, a lot of people don't like things like that. They want newer looking things to use. We book artists tend to love these old things. They add a lot of character to books and journals and cards and scrapbooking and collage and all of it. So here we have just part of a fabric scrap that had been discarded. There wasn't much of this at all, so I tore it into little rectangles to put into the book. They look like, it looks like pieces of art to me, hanging on these beautiful pages. Ooh, I love this. So this butterfly was part of the design of a package that some paper was in. Is it Hammer Mill paper, that company. This was on the front, so I just cut that butterfly out, and you know what? I glued it right in. I wonder, I'm going to get this pencil a little bit wet and make those antennae a little bit more visible. I don't want to overdo it. That's a little better. So my Jason is out walking. I'm at home, obviously. Of course, I was invited to go. I've had an exhausting day. Emotionally, this has been really hard for me. It's affecting everyone in the country. And, okay, I think at this point, I'm going to tear off a piece of this tissue paper to put in, and let's talk. This is a time, it's really hard for artists, and I don't say too much about my personal financial situation. I think we should all try to support each other and do what we can for each other. I rely pretty heavily on my art, so I know that it's going to be vital for me to be able to keep that stream of income, if at all possible. As far as I know, I will continue to have some work at my quote-unquote real job, but who can say what's going to happen? Anyway, I will be adding heavily to the digitals on my website, and I don't want to come here and ask for money for you're not receiving anything. That's not what this is about. I'm asking for all artists that you do, if you're able to do, you know, I look at channels and I think of all the things that the artists are giving to the community, and you know, sharing techniques, sharing what they're learning, sharing content. And believe me, it can take hours to create one video. But I look at the subscriber count and I think, well, you know, if everybody gave just $1, it would help that artist tremendously. And when I see digital kits from other artists, I buy them. I like to support other artists, and I use them. You've seen me use digital kits from other people. So I guess I'm just saying to remember your artists. For years, I was in a different field. I was in medical transcription at home so that I could be home with my babies. And again, that harkens back to a much more difficult time in my life. A restructuring, a huge restructuring, totally did away with what I was doing when I left my hospital work. So I took what retirement I had, basically because my job went away. It was absorbed into the restructuring. So I didn't do anything wrong. They were perfectly willing to put me in something else, but I was kind of at the top of my game, and I didn't want to start over with a pay cut and having to learn something that at that point in my life I wasn't passionate about. So I'm working now at what I love, and I'm really happy about that. So just support where you can, and who has helped you, and who you care about. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to give for everything that I am able to bring in. I'm trying to give that to others to help. Part of it, you know, I'm trying to share everything that I get. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this to lay down flat, and I'm thinking one of the things I would like to do is, if I'm able to sell art locally, to give part of what I make to people who are out of a job right now. So I love these random pieces of tissue paper in here. I think it's turning out really, really pretty. I think it would be pretty to come back and do some stamping in here. Let's get a piece of this color. I think I want to put a piece of blue on top of that. That green just feels too dark or something. Too dense, maybe. Let's see if this will lighten it up a little bit. I like that. You can see the numbers in here where I did that. Just dipping the watercolor pencil into the water, and then I closed the page when it was wet, and I think it's really pretty. I love that one. It's so faded you can barely see it. Let's put a piece on this page. There, that's pretty right there. I'm going to wrap this up in just a little bit. I did want to talk to you about those things though, and talking about money and helping and doing what you can. I feel so supported and so loved by those of you who come to this channel, and I think you know that. I try to tell you, and I try to reciprocate. So I'm a little bit fearful of mentioning supporting artists, because I don't want to offend anybody, and I don't want you to feel like you're coming here and me talking about a subject that's a real turnoff, or can be. So, if you don't, feel free to give this a thumbs down. I understand if it seems like one of those things where I shouldn't even bring it up. But I did want to mention it. These are going to be hard times for some people. Gigs for musicians are pretty much, they're non-existent right now. I've watched artist people I know online talk about performing virtually to at least give people a respite from having nothing to do, or I should say a reprieve from having nothing to do, and maybe earning a little bit by doing that. Music teachers, they won't have their students coming over. I've heard from several who the lessons are being canceled left and right. That's their income, that's their livelihood. Artists, me included, especially artists who sell a lot locally. I'm fortunate that I do a lot online. But artists who sell a lot locally, or maybe who teach workshops and that's how they get their money, they're going to really be suffering, because everything, all the local classes that I know of are canceled at this point. That needs a little something, I think. Maybe some of this bright sort of apple green. Yeah, that's pretty. We'll keep both of those little pieces there. So just remember, if you can, that you will really, we all have to help each other right now. I'm still not sure. I appreciate the feedback on this journal so much, and I was leaning towards keeping it, to keep putting trash and junk and recyclables and stuff like that in. I'm really leaning towards feeling like it's complete at this point, and it's so beautiful. I'm very, very tempted to list it in the shop so that someone can buy it to put into it what they want to put into it. Really thinking about that. So just stay tuned. I appreciate all of the feedback. I'm glad I continued to work on it and add some things. I'm not sure yet what I'll do. That looks better. Doesn't that page look better? All of a sudden it just kind of transformed it. I love that. I can't find, I wonder where the rest of that piece of tissue paper is. I love that color, and I only saw one little piece, and I never did really use this for a stencil, but I'm not sure I want to. I was enjoying the results of the other so much. I might just leave it as it is. Maybe if it wants to be dark, we'll just help it be darker. That might enhance it, actually. I think it does. It speaks to the darker color there. And then what if we go ahead and close it a little bit so we won't worry about it. I'm going through again to make sure the pages aren't sticking. Oh, I like the way that happened. Let me get my dryer. I need to dry that page a little bit. I am really, really loving this little journal so much. I just love it. I love it, love it. So I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to release it to the universe. The other part of me wants to just keep adding to it in some way. You know, there's another part of me that wants to somehow get it in a gallery showing, which I hope to do at some point. Anyway, stay tuned. I'm going to close for now because I have a lot of other things I want to do this evening. And I hope everyone is well. I wish every one of you wellness and peace, and that you have everything you need. And may we all be kind to each other, and may God bless us all. And I ask that with great humility and hope. All right, bye for now.